Today, I will be visiting every abandoned store and fast food place I can find. I'll be looking at everything from Blockbuster to Kmart and even everyone's favorite Toys R Us. First place I'll be visiting is an abandoned McDonald's. Let me just say, this location was honestly pretty bad. I did a video looking at this exact location when it was open, and all I'll say is that it was not looking good. The inside was literally falling apart to the point where the toilet had to be taken out. But this sign on the booth was definitely my favorite part. Don't sit here, seat will break. Wow, how welcoming. Now, I'm always a fan of the older style buildings, but once it becomes a safety concern and half the place is used as storage, you're gonna need to update some things. And that's basically what happened to this location, but instead of trying to update the building, they just said forget it and built a whole new McDonald's entirely. I mean, with reviews like this, I'm not surprised. But it makes this pretty unique because now you have two McDonald's right next to each other. This McDonald's actually used to have a really big sign in the front. It was one of the older style ones, and sometimes they keep those, but like I said, I guess they just want to completely start over. So the sign went away and the building is next. I'm actually surprised it lasted this long. This seems like a location they would have remodeled 10 years ago. You could see right here the old drive-through. That's like the old speaker, and it would come up on that red screen, and then this is where they would manually put the new menus and whatever, but now it's all just on a screen, so you don't have to come out here and replace it every time. And then obviously right next to that is the original building. Inside there, you can see the original sign that I was talking about. I'm surprised that wasn't thrown in the dumpster right away. But as for everything else, it's basically gutted out. This is where the play place used to be, and now it's just nothing but trash. Next up is a TGI Fridays that just shut its doors a week before me filming it. The reviews on this location were not the worst, but definitely could have been better. But the most likely reason as to why this shut down was because the company itself closed many underperforming restaurants as part of their ongoing growth strategy. Doesn't seem like they're doing much growing when 36 locations just shut down, but okay. Now, for the most part, I would expect everything to still be intact, knowing that it just closed down. So it just recently became abandoned, and that's why I got to put it in this video. On the front of the building, it still has the Fridays logo. And then right at the front, you can see this sign that says, "We regret to inform you that Fridays made a difficult decision to close our doors." And if you look in there, you can see all the chairs are up and it's completely out of business, but everything still looks to be inside of there. And as you go around in the back of the building, it still has the Fridays sign right here. I like to throw in a mix of places in these videos where one abandoned place will look like it's been closed for hundreds of years, and then other places like this one looks like they were closed just yesterday. And in the case of this one, I guess it almost was. So as for this location, it still looks kind of new, but for the next place I'm visiting, you definitely won't be able to say the same thing. This place was an old Pep Boys auto service center. I couldn't find any photos, but based off of the reviews on Yelp, most people were happy with this location. Even this person that left a review in 2023, even though this place closed down 10 years prior. So this Pep Boys closed down over 10 years ago now, and it definitely looks like it. The paint's chipping away, the windows look like they're about to shatter. It's not looking good for this abandoned place. Now in these videos, I like to find things that were left behind of what the buildings originally were, and with this one you can see two things. The first one is the sign itself. So right at the top, obviously you got Pep Boys and then auto service. Also, a piece of the sign just broke. You can see it right there in the bushes. And as for the second thing, if you look in the door, you can see a piece of paper with Pep Boys on it. This location was a Pep Boys auto service, meaning that you couldn't really buy anything inside. You would just take your car here for it to get worked on. So this is the front entrance right here, and if you look inside, it's all beat up. There's just dust everywhere, and it's just not looking great. And then we'll make our way over to the garage section real quick. And can you see anything? You can, but there's really not much to look at. And then as for the back of the building, I really don't talk about that too much because there's usually nothing to see. And this Pep Boys is really no exception. Now, with all these abandoned places back here behind me in this plaza, you would think one of the next locations would be this, especially with there being an abandoned Kmart at the end of it. But I don't want to talk about Kmart too much just yet, and you'll find out why at the end of this video. Also, these other places are just stupid, so I'm not going to talk about them. Next location is an old Wendys that just shut down. This place didn't have the best reviews, but the building itself was definitely older. I always went here for videos because it had that old style to it. but sadly it's no longer open. I actually can't believe this Wendy's closed down. This wasn't even supposed to be in this video. I would have included it in my other one where I went to every abandoned fast food place, but at the time this one didn't close. I was actually so shocked when I drove by and saw that the sign was gone. I always looked at it because I remembered it from the videos, but now the joke is dead. But what's even more shocking is the inside. There is literally nothing left. Well, obviously besides those chairs right there, which I don't even know why they left, but everything else is gone. And then we'll look in here real quick on the other other side, you can see the abandoned kitchen, and it's all cleared out. This was the old drive-thru right here, and of course, all the menus are taken out. It's only a matter of time until this thing starts falling apart. And then this thing I just have to include in the video. Right between the two drive-thru windows is this piece right here. You would only see these signs on Wendy's locations that were built in the 90s, and they would say express window, basically promoting that they have a drive-thru. I didn't know I was coming to an abandoned Wendy's today, but there you go. Now, this was a random one I just saw. It's an entire shopping center that just sits here abandoned. This place looks like I'm on a set of a movie. There really wasn't any stores here worth talking about, but it was definitely big. Now, for this place, I wasn't even going to include this in the video. I just happened to see it while driving around. It's this huge abandoned shopping center, and this is a pretty big parking lot too. Now, usually what I would do is put my phone to the window and stuff and try to show you inside, but every single window has wood in front of it, so there's really nothing to see. Next place was a 50s themed restaurant called Friendlies. I always enjoyed going to Friendlies, but I guess most people didn't, considering that they've been closing many locations over the past decade, and this was one of them. Many people seem to like this location, with the reviews being mostly positive. Well, maybe besides this guy. It's funny because he posted this picture to the wrong location. He was that mad, I guess. But anyway, as for Friendlies, it's sad to see it start to shut down, but at least I've been to some before they close them all. Now, this place may not be as known as other famous restaurants, but I always remember going to Friendlies as a kid and loving it. Now, this location in particular closed around a year and a half ago, but for some reason, all the signs were never taken off, so it looks like it was just closed yesterday. So right over here, you still have the sign for the restaurant. Just says Friendlies, established in 1935, and you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I feel like when a place closes down, the main sign is one of the first things to go, but this one's still here. And then on the building itself, it still says Friendlies with the original sign. On top of the front entrance, it says creating memories since 1935. Let's take a look on the inside. So right there in the front, you have the ice cream menu, and then that's the main eating area. If you look on the wall, it still says Friendlies. This side looks more intact than the other, where you can still see all of the booths. So for the most part, this is basically just sat here for the entire time it's been closed, and who knows what they're gonna do with it. But the only reason I'm mentioning this is because I saw the weirdest remodel when I went to this Halloween themed restaurant where it used to be an old Friendlies, and they turned it into some horror themed place. For this next place, I just wanted to throw it in here real quick. It's an abandoned Rite Aid. The reviews here were fine, I guess. Honestly, who cares what the reviews are? It's a Rite Aid. I'm sure none of you care about this, so I'll make it quick. Right at the top of the building, you can see where the logo was. And then on the front door, you can see this huge sign that says store is closed. So just in case you thought it was open, it is not. And then on the inside, they have this huge thing covering the door so you can't see anything. This is another one of those places where I kind of just saw it while driving, so I threw it in this abandoned video. For this next location, it's definitely a lot better. If you're a fan of movies, then you've heard of this place. This is an abandoned Blockbuster. Before there was streaming, the best way to watch a movie was by going to the store and picking one out. And Blockbuster was the most popular place to go. Back in its prime, they had thousands of stores open, but now there's only one left that I've actually visited before. However, this one is definitely not in operation and is closed just like all the other places were besides that one. I couldn't find any photos or reviews for this location. The only thing I can see is what you can view on Google Maps. Now, I've talked about this particular Blockbuster a couple times in past videos, but I never really went into detail about it. The most interesting thing about this building is that it became 3 separate places at different points. And if you look on the building, there's still things left behind from all 3 of those places. So obviously the most interesting one is Blockbuster, and there's 2 different ways to tell that it was that at one point. So first is on the building itself, you can see the outline of where the logo used to be. So that's the main way to see that it was a Blockbuster, but the other one's a lot more smaller. This exit sign on the door may appear to be just a regular sign. It just says exit right there, but you have to look at the bottom right here. If you read this super small text, it says 2003 Blockbuster Inc. But now we have to talk about the 2 other places this building became after Blockbuster shut down. So the first place this building became after Blockbuster closed was actually a thrift store. And the way to tell that it was by looking at these letters right behind me. Now you may be thinking, what in the heck is this? But once I tell you what it said before, then you'll be able to understand it better. So this part is the beginning of thrift. That's the ending of store. And then this would be open and then 7 days. So if you read the whole sign, it would say thrift store open 7 days. And now I'll show you the third and final place this building became. So the third place was actually a pub and grill. And you can actually still go to this place because it's right there. So because the pub and grill was the last thing this place was, when you look inside, it still looks like it was that. So when you take a look in here, you wouldn't even be able to guess this ever was a Blockbuster. And then this is just another side of the bar. I was surprised by this next place when it shut down. It's an old Burger King building with the blue roof. I thought for sure they were gonna remodel it, but they decided to just close it entirely. I've been here many times in the past when making videos, so I have footage of the inside. It basically wasn't touched since the 90s, and everything was in good shape right until it closed. The reviews on this location were pretty average for a fast food place. Nothing too bad, but nothing great. So as of right now, the sign is still up there with the blue roof. Also, the main sign for the building is still there. There's a paper right on the door that says restaurant permanently closed. So take a quick look inside. I filmed inside here before when it was open. Now I'm filming it when it's closed. You can see inside the kitchen, there's still stuff there because it just closed. And even the computer screen is still on. I can't believe I was just here a couple months ago filming that abandoned Taco Bell, and it's right next to what is now an abandoned Burger King. And even when Burger King's closed, it still can't get away from McDonald's. You gotta love it. And now for the final two locations that everyone has been waiting for, I will be visiting an abandoned Kmart and Toys R Us that happen to be right next to each other. First, I'll take a look at this Kmart that closed sometime in 2019. And let me just say, the reviews for this location were horrible. I haven't seen reviews this bad in a long time. No wonder this place shut down. So this is why I didn't want to talk about Kmart earlier, because I knew I would have a better one to show at the end of the video, and this is it. So right at the top, you have the Kmart sign, with the K being the Kmart logo itself. It's obviously super faded by now because who knows how long this has been here. And then over here next to the sign, they still have these up of brands that you would probably find in the store. But now we'll walk up and take a quick look inside. So this side of the door is boarded up. I guess the glass broke or whatever. But if you look right here, you really can't see much. It's just a bunch of construction stuff and whatever else they have. But at least you can use the Kmart ATM. So that's the main entrance right here. But there's actually another door on this side, and we'll take a quick look in it. You can see a lot more of the store over here. Ceiling looks like it was falling apart, but that was the store. We'll take a quick look around the side to see if there's anything. I doubt there's going to be anything to see, and I was completely right. And now for the final location everybody wants to see. It's an abandoned Toys R Us. You guys loved the first time I explored one, but now I'm at another location, and this one is even better. It may have not been the best reviewed when it was open, but now it's almost like a time capsule of your childhood looking at it today. So right in the front, we have the classic new logo. This time, nothing's falling apart on it. For the most part, this building looks to be in a lot better shape than the other one I visited. So now, of course, I'll take a look in the front entrance and see if we see anything. Usually you don't see anything, but I always take a look. Yeah, that thing's completely gutted out. I mean, you couldn't get that any more gutted out if you tried. This is cool though. You got this old warning sign that says, "Warning, this premise protected by Toys R Us Electronic Alarm Network." And there's Jeffrey the giraffe. That's definitely from the 80s. Not really any point of going over here. There's just nothing left. Look at that shopping cart though. It says Kmart on it. And then this is over by the exit door. You have the same warning sign right here, but if you look in, there's nothing to see. Now, if you thought this was cool, just seeing the front side of this abandoned Toys R Us, there's actually something else around the back that tops everything else. If you walk to the side of the building, you can see the old Toys R Us logo. And if you thought this was it, there's actually one more thing I have to show you. So if you walk around to the back of the building, you can see the same old logo right here. But with this one, some of the letters did fall off. And in case you're wondering, there's not really much else to see in the back of the building because the second half of it is actually another place. You guys were begging me to go to another abandoned Toys R Us, and I did that. Hopefully you enjoyed. That's it for the abandoned locations. Make sure to subscribe, and I am now selling merch. Click the link in the description to get yours today.